my entire crew. I'll literally jump in the bunker, I'll go through the dialogue, I'll run to the next bunker. I try to just break it all down because storyboards really don't do justice. Sometimes play acting it out really tells everybody exactly what's going on. Because when you read action scenes, sometimes they're a quarter page long, and it's like give you the full visceral impact. Hangar there, literally where the first bomb on Pearl Harbor dropped. That next to where they had the ships, that was actually where they kept the seaplanes. Seaplanes are one of the first ones to go up.
So it's not a reordering of action.
No, it's not a reordering of action. I'm just giving you a little bit of history. Amazing to do this scene where it happened, and literally to see strafing marks that are still 60 years old left there. It's very interesting how the military leaves all these bullet holes in the walls, in the buildings, on the ground. They leave it there as a reminder. So, exactly. This was put in, this beat to put in to just show what our two heroes are going to go up against. P-40s, they're tough planes to fly. They're not as nimble as a Japanese Zero, but they're a lot more armored. A Japanese Zero is more like, if you hit it with a few bullets, apparently they say it falls apart very quickly, but it's so fast and it's so tough to get.
In speed, what they lacked in armor and power, but that was...
Yes, they were, but they were also excellent pilots. These Japanese were very involved in China in a war, combat missions, skilled pilots.
Experience that we lacked. So,
yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understood.
Why it's interesting having the old wise warrior, Ben, who's now the wise warrior, trying to tell these boys what we're going to be up against. Is one of those scenes that are virtually impossible to storyboard. You need to shoot all your aerial stuff, or you can actually do your close-ups to help you tie the story together.
Construct this sequence basically in editing.
Yeah,
you shoot all the things you need and then construct it. Really, you find your story in editing. It isn't pre-planned.
Well, you pre-plan the major beats, such as where you saw the planes drop to the deck, and then right here where they split. You go through your major beats, and you try to capture as much as you can with real planes. And then you add digital planes where you need to add to build up the numbers. Like this is all real shooting right here. This is all real shooting right here. Those bullets are added. That's plane. These are real planes flying here, and they add digital ships behind.
Insert your close-ups of your character as you feel the audience needs to reconnect, re-identify, or what governs that choice?
Well,
really?
Cross-cutting. I mean, to show the guys racing to the tower. It was interesting in these men in the tower. This was actually a tower that was there when the attack happened. Stories where some of these survivors talk about where they would throw typewriters or paperweights at these planes because they were so close. Catch a prop. Have guns, some of them. Whatever they could at these planes, and it was a beat in the script, but I just didn't think people would believe it.
If you risk a comedy moment where you don't want one.
Right. Now these are real planes flying, sometimes 15 feet off the ground. That's how low these planes were.
About the use of a score in. I haven't got my sound here. So
well, this is a big heroic score right here.
Right.
We need. This plane chase was an element to bring the audience back. It was an element to, we've beaten them down by seeing this attack. Real planes right there with real guys underneath them, repeating what they did in their Army Air Corps training school.
You can keep the musical score present under the sound of battle and conversation, which gives the film a very elegiac quality. I mean, a quality of like majesty and sort of nobility and memory. I mean, it's interesting that you made that choice. It couches it. It's a very immediate and real event, but it also makes it, kind of representational and historical simultaneously.
Planes coming right by the tower. That's about as real as you can get in filmmaking. Those planes actually came right at us at 200 plus miles an hour, and they made their bank, and I think they were probably about 15 feet from that tower with all of us in there shooting. We had some amazing pilots on this. Our Navy flight guy on the ground watching these pilots said, "These pilots are as good as they ever get." The actors said, "Well, what happens if the plane hits a tower?" Sizemore says, "Well, we're all dead, but that's not going to happen." By swirling the audience, you're making it more visceral. These are all real shots. Like, that's shot right out of the back of a T-28, and I like how the skies are going sideways, and we're getting more twisty and turn. Opportunity wants to fly in an F-16. The Air Force they took me up in one, and it's you swirl around so much. It's gut-wrenching.
From the military did you have on your film?
There's no way this could have been done without the military cooperation, and I wouldn't have wanted to attempt to do a movie if we weren't able to shoot at Pearl Harbor. I mean, they allowed me things that they've never allowed in the past, such as I was able to dive and shoot the Arizona that's underwater. Nurses talk about as they ran out of everything. I would mark the men on their foreheads of who had morphine, who was going to live, who was going to die. There was just not enough help. It was a Honolulu doctors convention. A bunch of doctors came in to help at the hospitals. I like the image, and this is some of my favorite cutting right here. Using cut, and her using her stockings is a true thing. Nurses speak about how they used them for tourniquets. They would use Coke bottles to store blood.
So haunting when those burned and blackened people come forward. It's like some sort of hideous space age. That's a horrifying image.
You know, that's from the oil fires. They talk about how their skin would be hanging off them. These doctors there, actually. A moment when we had these 200 extras. We're shooting a large master shot, and one of the kids in the massive sea of extras was laughing. And he was laughing. Cut, and I got on my megaphone and I singled him out in front of everybody, and I said, "Do you think Pearl Harbor was funny?" You know, when you shoot these scenes, you need everyone. One extra can wreck the entire shot. I went to visit Jim Cameron down while he was shooting the Titanic. He said that very thing to me. So when Leo was coming down the stairs and he was pretending, he was trying to get his hands behind his back. I think he was in the tuxedo, shooting it over and over and over. And he leaned to me. He says, "I'm telling you, one extra wrecks it all, doesn't he?" And I knew exactly what he was talking about. Some images that we did down in Baja, where those are all real things right there. They were massive structures we built, some 100 feet tall. That's a real structure behind Cuba. It's 1/9 of the real structure of the Arizona mast, actually. The aftermath montage, and we've assaulted the audience, and we need to slow everything down. And message that was sent to Admiral Kimmel an hour after the attack. This is a moment to regroup, and you're going to see the movie start to change here. Change with President Roosevelt's speech. It sends it into a new direction.
This is an actual funeral kind of scene, with the music and...
But his conviction on his face right here, that's what I loved about that shot.
You're Gone with the Wind shot.
And then we pull out this destruction from Admiral Yamamoto. He was educated at Harvard, and he knew of our industrial might. In the movie, their relationship, nothing matters right now except what has happened and the tragedy at hand. And doing subtle looks right here. She looks at both of them, she catches their eye, but nothing matters about the relationship right now.
Yes, absolutely. As I said earlier, I think that the choice of using nonverbal expression, subtlety in that way at key moments is a very good thing, and it allows the viewer to write the screenplay for themselves. I mean, to notice those things and what they mean. That always gives the person watching the movie a greater investment in the characters, a greater belief, and you care more when that's done. When everything is spoken aloud and defined for you, you get lazy as a viewer and you start not paying attention to subtlety that you're seeing on the screen. So a scene like that is much more effective and tells a better story, involves the viewer more. I like that.
With the hands right here, Daniel Martinez, who's the U.S. historian, or National Parks historian to the Arizona Memorial, talked about the different ways they would try to rescue people, and this is one of the ways where they would try to puncture the ship, but unfortunately it would let the air out of their hole, and the water would thus fill up, and they weren't able to cut it fast enough, and they drowned. He told me about this image, and it was such a powerful image. This was something that I put into the movie, actually halfway through shooting the movie. I mean, ending on our two guys and seeing this hand and then cutting to Roosevelt's hand, right there is a powerful image to me.
I agree. Jon Voight makes an interesting Roosevelt.
He really does. I spent an hour and a half hand placing every single extra to if you look at your history books and these photographs, they're exactly placed where everyone was. And they actually look like the person in that picture.
It's interesting that you went to so much effort for accuracy. Is there any place in the movie where you went for accuracy and then you felt it would have been better, stronger dramatically if you hadn't gone for accuracy?
Yeah, there are times where you have to change it around, and there are times where we paraphrased accuracy to make it more powerful. That priest blessing the men in the water, he's actually the chaplain for the Navy, and he's gone to combat situations where he'll do mass blessings of the dead. An image that was never in the movie, and it's as I'm going through movies, as I'm going through the shooting process, I'll add this imagery. The movie now takes a new turn. It's almost like a new movie.
End of a part one of a movie. Let's move on to a part 2 of a movie.
It's a really 3-movie story. The pre-life, innocent life before Pearl Harbor, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the aftermath of Pearl Harbor that have been wedded together through these characters, use of music, etc.
That I always wanted to shoot, that Daniel Martinez told me, the historian from the Arizona Memorial, where Marines were guarding the ships that were stuck underwater after the attack, sometimes 2 weeks after the attack, and they kept hearing tapping inside those ships for 2 weeks of men that they were never able to get to. And the Marines just couldn't bear it, and they would sometimes put cotton in their ears so they would drown out the tapping.
And not put that in.
Did not put that in because I never shot it. Remember, we shot this movie in 102 days. 9 of those days were small unit days, and that's an amazing pace for a movie of this size. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. I've seen Jon Voight. I've never seen this before, but Jon Voight, in his makeup and his voice, he commanded the set, and he would do a take, and I'm telling you, these actors around the table here, they started to applaud him after he finished his take. A really great sight to see. This is Stan Winston, who recreated Jon Voight's face here. 6 hours to get him in makeup.
You could get him to look this much like FDR.
Well, he approached me at an Academy Award party. He says, I want to do this movie. He says, I'm an FDR freak.
That's interesting. Yeah. people of my age, FDR is such a clear image,
Yeah.
you know, that if you don't get it right, you've got a major problem there. He also speaks with the kind of cadence
Yes, he does.
and pattern that FDR had.
A strong moment in the movie. FDR in history, it's true that he few times would stand up. He was fearful of fire, and he would sometimes be caught by his valet crawling on the floor with his arms. He had a lot of muscles in his upper torso, and he always had nightmares of fire. First thing I ran into Roosevelt's grandson, and he said, "You got my granddad right. You got the passion of him right." That was a great thing to hear. This is all true right here, where Captain Lowe is the one who thought of this idea. Point Randall found was the press, unlike the press today,
Protected him.
they protected him, and they, as you notice, they don't take a picture until he's standing up strong and proud. And sometimes you'll see him in historical photographs with other world leaders, and they'll all be sitting.
This is a very beautiful looking scene with all the coffins draped in flags. I like the look of this. In the light outside, in the darkness, and
In the rough cuts watching the scene, it never really got me, and when the movie was finally done, and I saw it on screen, this scene kills me.
the subtle look between them.
Yeah, still that anger going.
Still unresolved.
Ask Colonel Doolittle. 40s right there.
That's what I like about it. Everything looks very 1940s here. Did you shoot this?
This was shot in LA, and Hawaii was a lot of farmland stuff. Very developed. But it's got the dusty ground, and again, it's the best we could afford.
Okay, it's the film noir cheapie again,
Yes,
right?
this room right here, I must tell you, was 7 feet by 7 feet.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Greenery out there. Hawaiian.
Moment right here where you see her lean towards Ben. Thinks, or I wanted Ben to think she's going to kiss me. A bit, and she pulls away.
You keep in front of the viewer visually as it's what is between them is never gone. It's always there, one way or the other. Makes clear that she's going to do the honorable thing. Great gas pump.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, it's a teeny little motel near Los Angeles. It's actually from the 40s.
Definitely, it looks exactly right.
It's very hard to do period movies nowadays because there's just so much new, and gradually we're just seeing all the old ripped down. Surprised by Hawaii when I landed there. Looked around. They've left that base, Pearl Harbor, very period. Buildings that were there are still standing.
Do they have plaques on them or anything of that sort? Or
They do here and there, but it's very subtle. It's not. It's subtle. One day, walking the crew around doing a location scout, and I had been there many times, like 6, 7 times, and I walked them around Ford Island and took them by the old barracks, officer barracks, and there was a little plaque, and 500 feet from this plaque, you can see a piece of the Arizona sitting in the water. And the entire crew just kind of gathered around the plaque, and they were literally quiet for 3 minutes. No one said a word. And it was an interesting moment getting ready to do this movie. It made everything more real, getting everyone there and being where it all happened. And a special moment in the movie, the process of it. Here, I the little subtle look that Ben and Josh, they're subtly telling him it's okay, and that little smile we get from Josh. Director's cut, I cut out a scene around the campfire. Another scene, which you'll see later, where they're sitting in their bunks on the carrier going to Japan.
I noticed that when I looked last night at the movie. But I thought there'd been a campfire scene. Tell why you took out the campfire scene.
I think we've cut that scene down so much that I don't think we need it. I think it's sometimes hard when you're finishing cutting a movie. Remember, directors always talk about they've never finally cut the movie. They never finish cutting the movie. And what I felt was repetitive and we didn't need. An ocean inside the carrier better than the campfire.
The campfire scene, which, you know, is an indication.
There you go. Why it should be gone.
Exactly.
Our actors were very proud of their salutes. They worked on that very hard.
Those are snappy salutes.
They were. Ben and Josh were very happy with us.
Real World War II salutes.
Little. He was a true American hero.
He was played by Spencer Tracy in 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. So when you looked at 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, did you think of someone like that, an actor like that? It was played by Spencer Tracy, right?
So,
yes, it was. He was.
now, dude's a small guy. He was 5-something. Alec was like 6-something and more statuesque. But Doolittle was a character who invented a lot of these things. He was very into physics, and he invented new parts for planes. He was the first one to do an outside loop. They reconfigured these B-25s with special carburation to make them fly farther. They lightened up the planes.
To establish the purpose for the last portion of the movie, where you see that every single person is willing to go.
And step forward.
To step forward.
I had it conceived where one guy didn't step forward. And I ultimately took it out.
Good choice.
You're dead.
Single shot right here.
The World War II recruiting poster.
It does.
Navy Aviation.
Very charismatic, tough guy. We had a lot of their pilots with us when we were shooting this, and they would follow this guy anywhere.
Camaraderie among your actors. Did you have fun?
We had a lot of fun on this movie. A lot of fun to do. This movie, when you attempt a movie of this size, you think so many things can go wrong, and it was like the most flawless production I've ever worked on. Nervous, because when we were doing the budgeting of this movie, they made me financially responsible if I went over budget. And, when you talk about a movie where you're working with old 60-year-old aircraft and working on the ocean and where you can have things like Waterworld, you could go $10 million over budget in a heartbeat. And every dollar we went over, I was financially responsible for. So I can tell you, we were so lucky that we got the final budget in, and they gave us $135 million plus a $5 million cushion that we were able to choose what to spend the money in, and we came in $200-something thousand under. Here, this is one of the flawless effect shots of the movie. This was shot on the USS Lexington in Texas, parked next to a Holiday Inn. Planes on that deck, and we had a helicopter sweep over them, and we placed the rest. We were going to sum up Goose's character in a minute.
Taking Army bombers off of Navy carriers.
This thing, first of all, this is shooting in the hottest fucking sweat you've ever seen in your life. It was 104 degrees, and it was 100% humidity. These guys are wearing jackets right now. This story right here. Movie device that we would send friendship medals back. Guys tie up these medals to bombs. To really educate the audience what the Doolittle raid does. It really wasn't that successful of a raid, other than a swell of nation pride. It showed that America could do something. It could actually hit their foreign soil. To refer to the neck right there. Look at that.
What you're talking about.
To remember.
Oh yeah, and an audience to remember.
You showed him in close. You established him thoroughly. Now we know why he shook so long.
Actually, it's about 2 pilots.
These Doolittle pilots there with us. Doolittle Raider pilots there. I asked one of them, who was Doolittle's co-pilot, I said, what were you thinking when you were on this carrier? Going. And he's real kind of southern drawl. He says, well, I just thought that we were young and dumb. And that's why they picked us.
They just picked us.
Hear that line, he told me think he told me this day, and I ended up shooting this thing in 15 minutes. There with the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
They would write notes on these bombs. Receive sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
That paid for a rap party. A little shot there. So it works in Hollywood. For a rap party.
Okay.
Yeah, Pepsi paid.
You know how I know? No.
This movie, The Pentagon, this speech is what I referred to, what this movie was all about.
There's nothing strong.
Nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer. The Pentagon really hung on to. And
This scene has a line that's going to be shocking, I think, for people after the World Trade Center bombing, when he absolutely states his own willingness to be a kamikaze pilot.
him
Yes,
for what he
really.
told his guys
The flight deck and wave you off.
until he swears. Improv there. Is the innocence of these guys that they're projecting in the room. When he says that, you just know from that look that they're going to do whatever he does.
What do we do if the beacon
Said he took the role.
I wasn't
This
built to
speech.
be a prisoner.
Well, that's just me.
Yeah.
Alec is one of the funniest men I've ever met.
Lives ahead of you.
A really fine actor.
So what you
John to one line when he accepts a role.
Very showy little role for him. It's a good role.
Mm.
Of the launching of the American planes as a visual parallel, like with the Japanese ones that we'd seen earlier, or did you just want to try to do it differently, or how did you think about that, since we've already watched one set of planes launching very dramatically?
Well, what was different with the Doolittle raid, they have never launched these size bombers off this short of a carrier deck. It was in the first plane, and the first plane is the hardest plane to get off because they obviously have the least amount of runway. Just trying to show the feat of them getting off. You see when there are fishing boats out there that they spot and they start to go to battle plans. These fishing boats were Japanese spies. They had radios where they would call the mainland. That's why it was imperative that they sink these boats.
In the original film.
This wasn't in. This is replacing the campfire scene. Almost like Doolittle had heard the rumor that there was a rift between these two, and he wants them to put it to bed.
So
Yes, I do. I like it much better than the campfire scene.
Well, why didn't you look at this and we could have put it in the real
You know
movie?
what? You didn't show me this, and you didn't show me the campfire scene. I would have been on that like a cranky old lady. See, I can't even remember that campfire scene, which is a terror. Notice how I can remember
I think that
everything.
scene sucks, by the way. Okay, let's
All
just
right,
call
well,
it what
we're
it
in
is.
agreement here. But that was see, that's the reason that's a better scene. Is Alec Baldwin is good. It refers obliquely to the fight between them and why it should be put aside, and it has her picture, which keeps that in front of us. It's just it does a better job. It's just better for the story that you're telling us than the campfire scene, which I can't remember anyway. Don't you think?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have listened anyway.
Oh.
I don't think you took any of my advice.
That's a real carrier right there. That was a real helicopter shot. That with the
It was,
carrier
yeah.
at sea, and then we would take the top off. And what you're going to see is a mixture of the old carrier, the USS Lexington, that was moored in Corpus Christi, Texas, that looked out on a harbor with the Holiday Inn behind it, and then you're going to see images of a new carrier that I got to control for 3 hours. What they had to do on these planes is they had to lighten them even further. And some guys were, like one guy took a phonograph with records in his plane and they had to dump it out. They actually lightened these planes a little bit the morning of that they were launching, but also they lightened them, they took some of the guns out where they placed them with broomsticks, and I tried to keep this beat all within this scene to give it more drama. Painted broomsticks black just to scare the enemy. It's just, it feels very classic. Two heroes, old Hollywood. Comes around full circle.
Of the planes.
You know, it's funny when you look at some of the historical footage, there's some just literally almost exact shots that were on the launch. Which it was in bad weather and it was rough seas. which made it even more treacherous.
A relatively calm sea look.
Yeah, that comes to money, Jeanine.
Yeah, okay. Because I
We're talking
remember.
Texas, 104
Okay.
degrees.
Very quiet, calm, hot day, was it?
It was as sweaty as, Alec would have to wipe his face with a towel before we shot the shot. Very funny, this scene in here. Plane, I was shooting him as a pilot getting ready to launch, and he was, to be blunt, awful. I'm like, Josh, he says, what's the matter, Mike? He goes, I said, you look like a kid who has no idea what he's doing in that plane. He says, well, what do you want me to do? It's not in the script. I said, not in the script. It's your job as an actor, especially being around, and you know you're a pilot. Your character's a pilot, and you're being around these great B-25 pilots that are on the deck right here, that you don't know how to fly or what this gauge means or how to use that yoke. And so I called Rap, and we went to lunch. And Alec was up next, and Alec was already sitting in the cockpit. And I'm like, Alex, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I heard a little rumor around the set that you were a little unhappy. So what he did at lunch is he heard I was unhappy with Josh, and he got the B-25 pilots to get in there, and Alec had that stuff so wired. I mean, what he's saying is exactly what a pilot would say when he's launching. Right here is a shot from history. By the around Josh, it worked.
Of him here. I remember, because I saw films as a child, 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, the plunging water, the up and down.
Right.
So I was expecting that.
I guess they had ComC's that day, Jeanine.
They did, Michael.
I know.
Next time you get more money and you bounce the boat. It's always dark around Roosevelt, It's always kind of,
Well, you do that also for makeup,
of course.
and you do that to keep it edgy.
And he Ala, his dog, with him, which was a big thing in World War II.
It's pretty interesting putting the real actors in the pilot seat while the planes were actually flying and we're shooting them.
Work.
We take the pilot out of the seat when the plane and said, Josh, get in the pilot seat and we're going to shoot you from a helicopter or shoot you from another B-25. Out at the U.S. Steel plant, and these are all computer-generated planes. And we shot here because we were trying to keep it's kind of a timeless place. And then we added in Japanese models and different signage.
Women with parasols. Why is that in there?
I don't know, Jeanine. It's just got in. It's just,
But it's like, what's this? The
I
Mikado?
know. It just doesn't work in the movie.
No.
I
Okay.
know.
All right.
It's a big mistake.
I'll pretend I love it so you feel better. Okay? No, but it is just so strange a shot. It's
I know. Production value to re-emphasize, because I felt we were at the U.S. Steel plant and it's so American, and it's just...
Right.
There are things in my back of my mind that, I just thought buildings like this that was shot down in Burbank.
Okay.
Flak is, we had to reshoot we had to shoot some additional stuff because people didn't understand what flak was, that it's actually charges that shoot up into the air and they explode in front of a plane trying to catch a prop or kill a pilot. It happened. I think there was some flak that went up, but I don't think a lot of the planes got hit.
Was not being able to get to China.
Right. That was their problem in running out of gas in every plane
some
crash.
were captured, I know.
Yes. And some were executed. It made me take that point out where we mentioned it in a voiceover. They felt the human right violation. They wanted it out, and that was one of the concessions we made. So I'm mentioning it on this DVD, so it's not forgotten.
There's your ladies.
Oh, boy. Really interesting in these B-25s. They are so claustrophobic, and you can get cut on just all these sharp items around the plane, and it's just, these guys, that gun guy sitting up there in front of there, how horrific in front of this flak.
The nose gunner.
The nose gunner, he's got no protection. And he has to crawl through something that, he's got to shimmy his shoulders through. It's a little square box.
It's terrifying. Are these the planes that have the tail gunners?
They have tail gunners and side gunners.
Their position is just horrible.
I think the nose is probably more vulnerable. It was installed in their planes. It was supposed to home them into a landing strip in China. And that plane going to China crashed, and so they had no beacon to be honed in on. What you're seeing here in the movie is they were flying blind, hoping to find some land. Out of Alec there in the plane there. You stop your DVD, that's him in the pilot seat. It's him in the pilot seat as well, with a real plane up above. The plane did crash in the Doolittle raid. One actually crashed in Russia, I think, which they recently found the wreckage of, and some crashed on the shores of China, where they were caught by Japanese troops.
We finally got there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was for survivors.
Yeah, there were a lot of survivors. I mean, I think they only lost. I'm not sure. There's have an annual event where they have dinner. And there's a bottle of sherry that's, I think, 60 years old. That when it finally gets down to the last two survivors that are alive of the Doolittle Raiders, that they're going to share that bottle of sherry to toast the rest of the men.
That's great. Really, at the time of my childhood, the Doolittle Raiders were like magical figures. And everyone talked of them that way and talked of Doolittle that way. He truly became a great American hero.
Yeah. When we were shooting this scene with this plane crash right here, when we were having our budget problems, I knew I was going to do a cheesy plane crash. And it wouldn't work when we shot, and the studio would need to cough up extra money to do some of those advanced miniature shots which you just saw. So for a while the crash didn't work, and of course they coughed up the money. Play the game.
Yes.
You know, don't sacrifice the middle of the movie, because they're always going to want to fix that ending.
That's right.
You know my tricks. Can't get away
I'm
with it.
afraid you've given it away.
Giving it up. But you know what? I've made them enough money.
That's right. You can retire.
I don't want to retire. Just beginning.
Of course not. Too young.
I won't put that shot of those two women walking with parasols in.
Get that out of there.
See?
You'll be coming
Yeah,
back to my classes at age 85 and saying, damn it, I should have gotten those women out of there. Just like Frank Capra. Tell me something. What would you change? I mean, you spent a couple of years of your life on this, and now that it's all over, people have gone, talked to you about it, responded. How do you feel? How would you change? What do you see? You keep saying you want to do it all over. What really do you see?
I think some of the earnest dialogue that was in the script, I would, some of that, even though it seems very much of the period, I think I would make make the dialogue a little different in some of those. Because these viewers, obviously, they haven't been exposed to these survivors that I've met. And they haven't heard how they speak. And a lot easier to put it in, but in the real world out here now, it's just some young people don't understand the true innocence of it.
Is that you would cut any scene you would take out, any scene you wish were there that you didn't shoot?
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's but that's always. I mean, you can. There's so many stories in this movie, Pearl Harbor. You can a lot of stuff and restage and redo, and it's just it'll take me an hour just to talk on that. But you know what? I'm very proud of this movie.
Yeah, that's good.
And now it's the world box office champ around the world of any movie from 2001.
A lot of response, too, from people, particularly the survivors, right? I mean, a lot of people.
I've received hundreds of letters from around the world, and a lot from senior citizens that just were so proud of the movie and felt I really captured the essence. I mean, it really meant a lot to me when Daniel Martinez, who is he's one of the historians of Pearl Harbor, and he works at the National Park Service, like I said. He saw the movie twice, and he had little welling up tears. I mean, he lives and breathes Pearl Harbor. More about it than I think anyone on the planet. And he said, you got the essence of what happened right. And that meant a lot. Survivors that came up and talked to me. You know, let's face it, we're dealing with a controversial subject. There are a lot of opinions because it was such a seminal event. It's funny, when you meet with the many different historians, they all have different opinions. You know, we can't even get our facts straight of what happened, what didn't happen, what some survivors say. You know, it's. And I'm not making myself clear, but I'm just trying to say there's a lot of confusion with among even historians, and you know, I asked Jack Green, who was our naval historian. I said, why is there so much confusion? And he said it's because we kept so little information of our military back then. We didn't keep the detailed logs we do now.
And you don't have the record.
Okay, let me see, you're gonna continued. Alright, we have a continued time for this. Other part coming soon.